The rain started just before midnight, a slow drizzle that turned the sidewalks of Millstone Creek silver beneath the streetlights. The town slept under its usual hush, porch lights dim, dogs curled at doorsteps, the faint hum of a distant train. Nothing ever really happened here. Until that night. Inside the Cornerstone Café, Emma Hartley wiped down the counter for the third time. 27, bright-eyed, and working 2 jobs to keep her mother's old house, she'd become a familiar face to every late-night regular. Her shift should have ended 30 minutes earlier, but she stayed to help close after her coworker called in sick. The neon open sign buzzed faintly behind the glass, throwing a red glow across the empty booths. Outside, a black sedan crawled past the café, its headlights slicing through the mist before vanishing down Pine Street. Emma barely noticed. She hummed softly to the tune playing on the radio, an old love song, and began counting the register. The rain thickened, drumming against the windows like a heartbeat. At 12:18 a.m., she locked the front door. At 12:21, she switched off the espresso machine. Then, just as she reached for her coat, the motion sensor light by the back door flickered on. She froze. Someone was outside. Emma hesitated, just a shadow, she told herself, maybe a stray cat. But the knock came next. 3 times. Slow. Measured. Deliberate. "Sorry, we're closed," she called out, trying to keep her voice steady. Silence. Then another knock, softer this time. Emma moved closer, peering through the sliver of glass in the door. The alley behind the cafe was dark except for the puddles gleaming under the lamplight. She saw nothing, only the outline of the dumpster, the rain pouring like static. She exhaled, half laughing at her nerves. The power went out. The radio cut to silence. The fridge motor died. The cafe fell into a darkness so sudden it swallowed sound. And then she heard it, the faint creak of the back door hinge. When Officer Liam Turner responded to the emergency call 40 minutes later, the storm had already flooded the gutters. A neighbor from across the alley had dialed 911 after hearing a short, sharp scream around midnight, followed by the slam of a car door. Inside, the cafe was still dark. Turner's flashlight swept across overturned chairs, a broken mug, droplets of blood trailing toward the counter. Emma's purse lay open on the floor, her phone cracked beside it. No sign of her keys. No sign of her. By dawn, yellow tape surrounded the property. The quiet town of Millstone Creek woke to sirens and speculation. Reporters arrived before sunrise, they always did when innocence shattered. Detective Sarah Lasker took lead on the case, a woman known for her calm precision and the way she noticed what others missed. She moved through the scene slowly, memorizing details. "There's no forced entry," she murmured to her partner. She knew whoever came through that door. Security footage from the gas station 2 blocks away offered their first clue. At 11:57 p.m., a black sedan stopped by Pump 3. A man in a raincoat stepped out, face hidden by a hood, and looked directly toward the cafe before driving off. At 7 a.m., Emma's body was found behind the counter, partially concealed by a fallen shelf. 1 shoe missing. No defensive wounds. A single red rose placed beside her hand. By noon, the town's heartbeat had changed. People who once left doors unlocked now double-checked every bolt. Rumors spread about the stranger seen asking for directions, about the ex-boyfriend who'd returned from out of town, about the waitress who said Emma had been worried lately, but wouldn't say why. Detective Lasker watched from her car as the coroner's van pulled away. Through the rain-spattered windshield, she whispered the same thought circling every mind in Millstone Creek. This wasn't random. Someone came here for her. And somewhere beyond the fog, in a car idling by the bridge, a figure lit a cigarette, rolled the window down, and watched the flashing lights fade into the distance, waiting for the noise to die down before returning to finish what had begun. I lingered over Millstone Creek like a curse. The sky hadn't cleared since Emma Hartley's death, and the smell of wet asphalt had become part of the town's grief. For Detective Sarah Lasker, the storm wasn't just weather, it was a warning. By sunrise, she stood inside the café again, tracing every inch of the scene as if the walls could still whisper what happened. The place was cleaner now, too clean, after the forensic team finished their sweep. Yet one thing lingered, a faint scent of perfume, floral but sharp, cut through the odor of bleach. It wasn't Emma's usual brand. "Prints?" she asked. "Partial, smudged," replied Officer Turner. "No match in the system. The back door's latch shows no damage, probably opened from the inside." Which meant Emma had let her killer in. Lasker crouched near the counter. The single rose lay sealed in an evidence bag. "Find out where this came from," she said. "Every florist, every delivery app within 20 miles. Turner nodded, but his eyes betrayed unease. "This feels staged." "It is," Lasker said. "That's what makes it personal." That afternoon, she visited Emma's home, a modest white bungalow with peeling paint and wind chimes still singing from last night's storm. Inside, photos lined the mantel, Emma and her mother before she passed, Emma with coworkers, Emma with a tall man whose arm curled tightly around her shoulders. "Who's he?" Lasker asked. "Ryan Cooper," said a neighbor who'd come to let them in. "Her ex. He moved back to town 2 weeks ago." They weren't speaking. Lasker's pen paused. "Why not?" The neighbor hesitated. "There was shouting one night. Then she changed her locks." By evening, Ryan sat across from her in the interrogation room, flannel shirt, wet hair, eyes red from lack of sleep. "She called me last week," he said. "Wanted to talk. We were supposed to meet Thursday, but she canceled. Said she wasn't feeling safe lately." "Did she say why?" He shook his head. "Only that someone was following her car after shifts. I told her to call the police. She laughed it off." Lasker leaned forward. "Where were you last night between 11 and 1? "At home." "Alone? Anyone who can confirm that?" "No." His jaw tightened. The detective studied him, nervous, yes, but not calculating. Grief clung to him like rain. Still, until she had proof, he stayed on the list. At 10:47 p.m., while reviewing footage, Turner called out from his desk. "Got something." The cafe's security system had been wiped, except for one corrupted file. After digital recovery, a single frame appeared, a figure in a raincoat, gloved hand resting on the door handle. Reflected faintly in the window behind them was the word Hartley, reversed from the cafe sign. "Zoom in," Lasker said. A ring glinted on the intruder's finger, thick, gold, engraved. "Unique." "Print that image," she ordered. "And cross-check it with known associates, customers, anyone with access to the cafe." The next morning, the florist report came back. No recent orders for single red roses, but a delivery receipt from a local funeral home, issued the day before the murder, showed a bulk order of roses under the name H. Marlowe. Lasker frowned. She knew that name. Henry Marlowe, retired police sergeant. Her former mentor. When she called, his voice was calm. "Detective, I heard about the case. Tragic. I'll help however I can. Did you send any flowers recently?" A pause. "Flowers?" His tone shifted, guarded. "No. Not that I recall." But the silence after told her everything she needed. He was lying. That night, sitting in her car outside the funeral home, Lasker watched the lights flicker on inside. A man's silhouette moved between the blinds. The same build, the same coat. She lifted her phone, snapped a photo, and whispered, "What did you do, Henry?" As thunder rolled over Millstone Creek once more, the detective realized this wasn't just about Emma. It was about something buried long before her death, something that had been waiting, patient and quiet, for the right night to surface. And as the church bell struck midnight again, a new envelope slid under the precinct door. No return address. Inside, a single photo, Detective Lasker, taken through her own window, earlier that evening. On the back, 3 words written in neat, deliberate script. You're next, Sarah.